Good morning and welcome. My name is Major Chris Parris. I'm the Acting Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police. It's our honor and our privilege to have the 48th Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, here with us today at our training academy in Hershey. Governor Shapiro's budget shows that public safety is a top priority. It's for the citizens of Pennsylvania, the creation of a dedicated funding source for PSP while ensuring future cadet classes will make our community safer and ensure our department is well-staffed, well-funded, and well-equipped into the future. We're gathered here in a place that carries a lot of history within the Pennsylvania State Police. Every trooper on the job today walked these halls, was trained here, left here with a sense of responsibility and duty to go forward and serve the citizens of the Commonwealth and the communities across the 45,000 square miles of Pennsylvania. As the women and men of the Pennsylvania State Police face challenges that come with their duties each day, it's vitally important that we continue to keep the ranks of PSP filled. A budget proposal like the governor's that he has proposed will ensure new cadets continue to fill our ranks and provide the equipment needed and keep the proud traditions of the Pennsylvania State Police alive. A dedicated source of funding can do just that. We seek to keep pace with available technology and resources to make our communities as safe as possible. As Governor Shapiro said yesterday, every Pennsylvanian deserves to be safe and feel safe in their communities. To repeat that, every Pennsylvanian deserves to be safe and feel safe in their community. As our department seeks to continue its mission, we look to support our sisters and brothers in local law enforcement across the Commonwealth with whom we work closely and collaborate daily. Whether it's a trooper responding to assist a local police officer or our helicopter providing overwatch for a search or our forensic services assisting with an investigation that's ongoing, we stand ready to collaborate with our partners, and that's our federal partners, our county partners, and our municipal partners, and our fellow state partners. Ensuring that law enforcement agencies have the needed resources to include adequate funding is paramount, and our agency looks forward, very much forward, on Budget Day +1 to have the funding necessary as a result of the support of the Shapiro administration to ensure that the ranks of the first and the finest state police agency in the United States are filled. So with that, I will turn it over to Captain Jamal Pratt. He is stationed here at our academy in Hershey. He is a newly promoted member to our Bureau of Training and Education staff. It's his responsibility to ensure that our recruiting efforts continue to lead the way to ensure that we're getting the best people in here to train. So with that, I will turn it over to Captain Pratt.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Acting Commissioner Parris and Governor Shapiro, for your support. I would just like to quickly reaffirm the commitment that the Pennsylvania State Police and the Bureau of Training and Education Recruitment Service Division has to ensuring that we are out there doing all that we can with a strategic focus to ensure that we are bringing not only just qualified applicants to the Pennsylvania State Police, but giving everyone the fair and equal opportunity to join our ranks of this prestigious and historic department. The recruiters that we currently have are doing a phenomenal job reaching out not only to our urban but suburban and rural communities here in Pennsylvania and our neighboring states to give us every opportunity to continue to build cadet classes that will be of quality but also long-term a staple point here for the Pennsylvania State Police, ensuring that we continue our ranks and continue to allow opportunities again for all members of society. So I thank you, and I thank Governor Shapiro and his team for the support here for the Pennsylvania State Police, and again, for all law enforcement here within the Commonwealth. With that, I will turn it over to the 48th Governor, Josh Shapiro.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Captain, and good morning, everyone. I want to thank, first and foremost, our Acting State Police Commissioner, Chris Parris, and it is my sincere hope that I will never have to utter the word acting again in front of his name, as I understand the State Senate will be considering his nomination later today. I am being told that he was just confirmed 50-0, so that's breaking news. I beat the AP to it. How about that? So congratulations, Commissioner. Very, very happy for you. Thank you. So to Commissioner Chris Parris, I also want to thank, of course, Captain Pratt, Major Bivens, Major Reed, and I also want to recognize and thank the head of the Pennsylvania State Troopers Association, Dave Kennedy, who is with us here today. And I want to give a sincere thanks to the cadets who were in this room about 30 or 40 minutes ago when I had the honor to come in and address them. They represent the best and the brightest, and they represent our future. And they are the ones that this budget invests in, them and the rest of our state police. In my budget address yesterday, I talked a lot, and I know some of you remarked on how much I spoke yesterday. I talked a lot about addressing the workforce shortages that we face, as well as making our communities safer. As the commissioner mentioned a moment ago, people have a right to be safe and feel safe in all Pennsylvania communities. And so that's why my first stop after proposing my budget yesterday is right here at the Pennsylvania State Police Academy, because the work that they do is critical to both. And my budget would help them address the critical vacancies that we see, as well as keeping our communities safe. When the cadets here at the Pennsylvania State Police Academy graduate, they will join the ranks of troopers who patrol thousands of miles of Commonwealth's roadways and hundreds of our municipalities. Creating safe communities starts with ensuring police departments are well-staffed, well-funded, and well-equipped. Unfortunately, the Commonwealth, as I remarked yesterday, is facing a shortage of more than 1,200 municipal police officers. And of course, we need more troopers too. When we don't have enough law enforcement to cover our communities, that puts an even greater burden on the men and women of the Pennsylvania State Police. There are concerning trend lines that we all see. The number of applicants to new PSP cadet classes has dropped significantly over the last 30 years. And as the commissioner will tell you, a similar dynamic can be seen in municipal classes as well. Consider this, in the 1990s, PSP used to get about 10,000 applicants per class. Today, they get just 1,000 applicants per class. Part of how we change that is in the budget I laid out yesterday. Another part of how we change that is by stating the obvious over and over and over again, that policing is a noble profession, and we want our best and our brightest from all different walks of life to go into policing. As current troopers retire, we will need more Pennsylvanians to join the ranks of cadets here in Hershey to ensure a sustainable future for our state police and the communities that rely on them. We need to make sure that state police troopers have the resources and equipment they need to succeed after they graduate. It is my view that no police officer or trooper should ever have to work alone. And that is why in my budget, we're taking action to recruit more law enforcement officers here in Pennsylvania. I've proposed a $2,500 personal income tax credit for new police officers, along with new teachers and nurses, two other fields where we see significant shortages. For anyone who earns a new license or certification in one of those fields, for anyone who has a license and decides to move to Pennsylvania to be a state trooper or municipal police officer, we're going to put $2,500 back in their pockets for at least the next 3 years. This will help us not only put more police officers and troopers in our communities, but of course, more teachers in our classrooms and nurses in our healthcare institutions as well. That's just the start of what I want to do to make our communities safer. My budget also provides the commissioner with 4 new cadet classes right here at the Academy next year. That's nearly 400 new cadets, like the ones I got to speak to just a few moments ago. And of course, as I said before, we'll make sure they have the resources they need to do their jobs well and to keep the community safe. We will make sure that we invest in this academy and in this training. We will also help make sure that PSP has the resources to maintain and replace critical equipment, like their police cars, many of which have close to 200,000 miles on them. We need to ensure that our police and our troopers have the resources, the training, and the man and woman power they need to be able to be successful. And that's exactly what my budget will do. Finally, we will give, for the first time in decades, the Pennsylvania State Police a dedicated funding source that will no longer take money away from road and bridge repair, from our public transit agencies. It's frankly foolish that we have forced the critically important aspect of infrastructure funding and the obviously critically important aspect of state police funding to compete with one another. It's gone on for too long. It ends on my watch. We will have a dedicated funding stream, and as I commented yesterday, Commissioner, it's going to be called the PSP Fund. I hope you get the joke.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Secretary Munson.
Yes, exactly. Finally, I just think we have to view this as a moment of opportunity where we have to invest in the people on the front lines to keep our communities safe. As I said before, policing is a noble profession, and I want good people to do it here in Pennsylvania. And the way we do that is by investing in recruitment and retention, and that is what this budget does. We have a clear message. You want to serve your community here in Pennsylvania? The Commonwealth is going to have your back, and we want you to join us. And with that, the Commissioner and I would be happy to take your questions, if there are.
I know beyond PSP, there are agencies struggling to find police officers. And I'm just wondering, obviously this is a huge investment in PSP, but how do you wrap it beyond the tax relief with trying to get officers when PSP is taking a lot of the officers, candidates that could potentially be going elsewhere?
Well, first off, I don't think the commissioner or any chief of police would view themselves as competing with one another. Everyone wants more cadets, more applicants to go through the process, and that'll be on all of us to try and increase that pool. And that's why the $2,500 tax credit is so critical. And just to clarify, that would be applicable for state troopers and municipal police. We want both. And we know that our partners in the municipalities need to be strong. And when they are strong and when they have full classes, then we can all work collectively to make our communities safer. Sure.
Where's that 100 million coming from for the PSP fund?
Right now, there is about $500 million that is taken away from our infrastructure fund. It's called our motor license fund. And so what we've proposed in our budget is each year taking $100 million out of that motor license fund and putting it into this dedicated PSP fund. So eventually you'll have that full allotment in there that on my watch will grow over time. So we're shifting it away and we're kind of walling off that funding to ensure that it goes directly to PSP.
But as you take less money from the motor license fund, where is the new money going to come from?
From our budget. It's by making a commitment to the state police and saying that public safety is critically important.
Since that would be an increase,
Pardon me.
since that would be an increase in the budget, is there a plan for how you would absorb that? Would it be through the surplus or tax increases?
There are no tax increases in my budget. And when you look at our 5-year budget plan, it's actually more conservative than what's known as the Independent Fiscal Office, which I think anyone who's been in the Capitol over many years realizes they're a pretty conservative group of economists. And we've managed to put forth a 5-year plan that is $3 billion more conservative than the IFO. We can afford to make investments right now. And I thanked the members of the General Assembly yesterday, along with my predecessor, Governor Wolf, who put us in this position where we could make important investments for tomorrow, weather any economic storms, and still be in a strong financial position, even stronger than what the IFO has predicted over the next 5 years.
How do you continue? Obviously, looking at those IFO projections, I mean, you only have to look till 27, 28, and it's like $3.5 billion in debt. How do you, obviously, revenue is not keeping up with expenditures. How do you continue to close that gap?
Well, look, I think you put forth a 5-year plan. Again, our 5-year plan is more conservative than the IFO, but I think most economists will say it's really hard to predict 5 years out. Typically, you really want to look at the first couple of years. I don't think anyone had pandemic, inflation, or this unprecedented federal aid on their bingo cards 5 years ago, right? But that's what we've lived through over the last few years. So this is a conservative proposal. We can pay for it without any tax increases. In fact, my budget proposes tax cuts. and putting more dollars in people's pockets, as we proposed, for example, on the property tax rent rebate, or as we proposed to give police, nurses, and teachers. So it's fully paid for, and we feel confident in our conservative projections going forward.
With that,
Okay.
where do you stand on Reggie? Obviously, that's a big chunk of change that's been put into the Clean Air Fund. It's tied up in the courts right now, but at some point, presumably, there'll be
Yeah.
a reconciliation with that. Do you support it? Where do you stand?
My position hasn't changed on Reggie. Obviously, it is in the courts now. It's going through this litigation. I intend to announce shortly a working group where we can hopefully find some common ground on that issue. And I'm really glad in the way you phrased that question about the Clean Air Fund, because that's something that was lost yesterday, probably purposefully lost. I think some folks were misrepresenting the facts. They suggested that we somehow bake that into our our revenues or into the general fund budget. In fact, that money, as it's been set aside by Governor Wolf in the past, is set to the Clean Air Fund. It has no impact on the general fund, and it's really there as a placeholder as we begin to work through this process of hopefully finding some common ground, and we see what happens with the courts. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
Governor, earlier today, a state representative outlined new allegations of harassment from, like, say, the representative from Delco. She said she was hoping that you and other lawmakers would ask him to resign. Have you changed your position? I know you've spoken about it before, but what do you think should happen?
I haven't seen what you're referring to, so I'll take your word for it. As you said, look, these are really, at least the allegations I was aware of prior, and I'm not discounting what came out today. I just haven't seen it. They're really serious allegations, and they need to be looked at and investigated quickly. No one should go to work and ever feel like they're in an unsafe environment. No one, whether you're in the legislature or you're in some other place of work. And the Speaker of the House needs to address this quickly. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Have the 48th governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania here with us on a day, budget day +1. Him at the helm of the Pennsylvania State Police. I'm very thankful for the opportunity and well-being and welfare of our Commonwealth's 13 million citizens, and I'm grateful for your will. We've hollowed out law enforcement in this Commonwealth, and let's be frank, in this country, for your work, for your daily efforts, has been coming from a fund that actually competes with our road and
Harry, it's going to start right here near the flag.